Hello and welcome to Sheffield Hopcast, our final episode of November, and somehow our penultimate episode before Christmas. Unless we sneak a little extra one in around Christmas, we'll have to see how we go. If you're watching the video, you'll see I already have my tree up in the background. Did it this afternoon and didn't break anything. Although as I look at it now, it looks like the fairy lights were a little clumpy around the middle, so I'm going to have to sort that one out. If you were listening last time, you'll know that the theme for the beers today is sub 4%. So that is the target that we set ourselves. If we were doing this a couple of years ago, maybe not a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I feel like it might have been a little bit more difficult. But there's so many beers now that are kind of in that sort of 3-4% range that we've got a lot to go at with this. So this is going to be interesting. Let's say good evening to Laura first of all, and find out what beer she has. Hello, Laura.
Hi. So I've brought one of my favourite beers that I could nearly have 2 of in the restrictions you've given us for choosing today. It is this. It's Shandy Panache from It's a collaboration between Manchester's Runaway Brewery and Steep Soda, who I think are based really close to them. This one is the mango and pineapple version. They do a few different ones. Got a lime and ginger one in the cellar as well. 2.2%, and it's essentially a beer soda hybrid in one neat little handy can.
It's a very nice can as well. That.
It's lovely, isn't it? They've got, can you see the little faces? They're so cute.
Oh, it's a pineapple. I was thinking like it's a bit random. They've got a block of cheese on there. It makes more sense now.
Yeah, so it's always a favourite of mine, and yeah, excited to have an opportunity. I don't think we've had a runaway beer on either before that I can remember.
Don't think we have.
No.
But they do some fantastic beers. So yeah, looking forward to drinking this.
Good stuff. And Adam, who is not in a different room in his house, he is merely in the same room as normal, but at a different angle. I do accuse Adam of having about 4,000 bedrooms in his house because I'm sure he's in a different one every time. But
I'm just playing with the lighting. I'm getting the light in front of me rather than behind me, just so to change it up a bit, I've gone for a style that I really like under 4%, which I've not had that many of recently, but a Berliner Weiss, they're always pretty low strength. And so I popped into Bar Stewards the other day to see if they had anything, and I found this, which is a new brewery to me, Pastore, and it's a raspberry and strawberry Water Beach Weiss. I looked at what Water Beach meant, and it's actually just where the brewery is. I think it's somewhere in. It's not even at the coast. I think it's in Cambridge. It's near Cambridge, I think. Yeah. So Pastore Brewing and Blending Limited. So I imagine that's something. I don't know if you've ever come across them, Laura or James.
Yeah, I've had a few of their beers. They're fairly new. I think they've just had their first anniversary. We got a little bundle of anniversary releases from Archer Road Beer Stop. But yeah, they do some really, really interesting mixed firm stuff. And I have not had bad beer from Pastore, so.
Oh, that's a good colour, that. That's exactly the same colour as your T-shirt, like identical.
It's not far off.
That's a good pour. I'm impressed with that.
I'd worry if it was exactly like my T-shirt, because that's not really a natural kind of colour, red.
Honestly, from the camera angle, it blends in perfectly.
Yeah, so cheers.
That looks good. It's an interesting style, isn't it, Berliner Weiss? Because you're right. Traditionally, obviously, it is kind of around about the 3.5% mark is where you'd expect a Berliner Weiss to be. And it was kind of like, it was a style maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago that you never really see at all over here. And then it's kind of been adopted as a sort of style of sour now, hasn't it? And you've got like stronger Berliner Weiss coming along, and I'd love to know what makes a Berliner Weiss, because I always thought that it was something to do with the strength, that it had to be around that kind of that mark for it to ultimately kind of be that strength. And then I've had them in Germany before, in Berlin before, where it's traditionally like you'd have some like flavored syrup served in it and stuff like that. And so I'm not really sure what makes a Berliner Weisse anymore.
No, I'm not sure.
I think it is supposed to be low in alcohol, but Weiss is just wheat beer, isn't it? So yeah, I don't really know.
Nice.
But sour, low ABV, wheat heavy was what I would kind of say with a
Low in strength, high in flavour.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
It does look good. It does look good. So I've gone for a brewery who have a really good reputation for making beers that are around this strength. It's 2.8%. It's Whiplash, Northern Lights, micro IPA. This has been knocking around for a while, and they've done a few other kind of versions of micro IPAs. And I feel that like Cloudwater became quite well known for their kind of small beers. And there's a couple of other breweries that I feel like do a really, really good job. I've always been dead impressed with Whiplash by the fact that they put as much effort into it as they would do with any other beer. So you get loads and loads of flavour. But, you know, that 2.8% is pretty good. So I've got Vienna malt, wheat malt, Cara malt, oat malt, plenty of malt, Mosaic, and Vic Secret in this. So we'll give it a go. I think I've had it before, but I'm not entirely sure.
I know exactly when I had it. I think it was my beer of the month once, and I remember picking it up from Draftsman that's on Doncaster Station. I don't know if you've been to. I picked it up from there on a journey down to Ipswich, and really, really enjoyed that. And I think that kind of started my first beer by them actually, and it started a bit of a love for their beers, and I've had that once or twice since. Actually, it's really, really good. I did actually pick up another beer from Bar Stewards, and it's the 0.5% version of Northern Monk Striding Edge. It's called something. Something Edge. I was interested to see what that. So I grabbed that on recommendation from Nath, who were working. So
have you tried it yet?
And I've not. No, I didn't want to cheat and have that tonight. I thought maybe we'd have a very low alcohol episode at some point, and maybe one after Christmas.
It's kind of. I don't know if you can quite see there, but it's very straw-like in terms of colour, but loads of aroma coming from it. It smells like beer. In fact, it's like your beer blends into your t-shirt. I think mine blends into my wall.
It does a bit, yeah.
But it is pretty much. It is a little bit darker than the wall. But I do love. I mean, have we done a low alcohol episode before, or we've certainly featured them before, haven't we? And I think all of us have talked about the fact that we really love the fact that beer has changed to an extent whereby it's worth breweries spending time and money on making lower alcohol beers, because I sometimes worry that any of us, when we kind of get into beer and you fall down this rabbit hole, don't you, of becoming really obsessed with like big impy stouts and big dippers and stuff like that, because they are the ones that, you know, really do, you know, pack a punch and loads of flavor and all that stuff. But there is a real, I'm going to say a real need, if that's the right phrase, but there's certainly a demand, isn't there, for lower strength beers, because not everyone, you know, not everyone drinks in the same way, and rightly so. And I think it's great that we've got the range of stuff that, you know, none of us have had an issue getting hold of something that fits the criteria, have we?
Yeah, I think in that craft beer kind of sense as well, with a lot of the stuff over 5-6%, you know, it's a lot of money to buy some of that stuff now, and a lot of it does seem to be priced on percentage. And being able to pick up something that's got that flavour profile at a low strength that maybe might be, you know, £3 a can rather than £6 a can for something that's maybe double its strength. But you know, and like I said, if you're having maybe a few as well, you can kind of it makes a bit more sense, doesn't it, on your pocket and maybe on your head the next day. But I think the lockdown kind of thing made me appreciate when we reopened again, like more traditional cask beers that are probably around 4% and maybe 3.8. And I don't know what it was. It felt like I'd reset a little bit and just been able to have like a proper pint, an old school pint, and not having to rely on, cans of it, and you can get pretty much anything in can and stuff. But just having that experience of something just nice and easy going and simpler and back to basics. And yeah, I know landlords like a little bit over 4%, but I really got into. I found a pub that was selling that quite a lot, and I was really enjoying it. And something not really kind of go to, because I'm always going for something like 4-6% IPA or something. But yeah, it's kind of nice to drop that down a bit sometimes.
Yeah, agree with that. I think I always think back to right at the start of when I was first getting into beer and still figuring out what I liked. And I remember, and I don't think it exists anymore, I've not seen it for a long time, Wild Swan from Thornbridge, which is 3.5%. I mean, I honestly don't know how much I'd enjoy it now, to be honest, because it's obviously it's a very, very light beer, but I loved it. I could just drink loads of it, and because obviously 3.5%, you actually can. That is truly kind of like a sessionable strength, isn't it? So I remember that being a real transitional beer for me when I was first figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like, and always remember it very, very fondly. And I don't know if they still make that. I've not seen it anywhere for ages.
They dabbled with like a tropical version recently. I say recently, it's probably a year ago. But I agree. I remember I used to live up in Ranmore, and I used to drink in the Ranmore Inn quite a lot. And they used to have 4 or 5 cask beers on, but they were kind of your Bradfield and then like Abbeydale moonshine. So they were all kind of in that 3.6 to 4.3 or something. I remember having on Wild Swan, not really being that familiar with Thornbridge at times. We were talking 10 years ago probably, and just thinking how great that tasted, and I would never traditionally drop down to a 3.5, but I remember having an evening just drinking that all night and just thinking this tastes so good. It tasted quite modern compared to what were beside it, kind of your Bradfield bitter and Farmer's Blonde. So yeah, I agree with that. I've not drunk it for a long time, and probably you're right. Probably doesn't taste the same as what you remember it, whether it is even the same beer. But yeah, if I do see it on, I would definitely go and grab a pint now.
Yeah, I think I probably would. Laura, I saw a photo of you earlier with what looks suspiciously like a pint of cocktail. So, what have you been enjoying of late?
Yeah, so yesterday it was a pint of cocktail and a coffee cup of cocktail, and that was not in conformance with the sub 4% rule of tonight, but Jabberwocky, which I'm sure I must have mentioned before, one of my favourite bars in Sheffield, was running a pre-order takeaway service over this weekend. So I'd pre-ordered. It was actually they do quite a selection of White Russians, and had said, "Does anybody have any suggestions?" And I'd suggested a Black Forest Gato one, and they made it. So I went to go try that, and it was delicious. But I was just kind of left in the conundrum that I picked them up, and obviously, and because one was in a coffee cup, I accidentally drank it on the way home at 4:00. And I was like, what do I do now? Because I've kind of set the tone for my afternoon/evening at 4 p.m. by drinking a cup full of cream. But luckily I had a cappuccino stout that is a new one from Abbeydale, so I'd brought one home to try. So that kind of bridged the gap to put me back to beer for a little bit before I had my Black Forest Gato White Russian in the evening. So yeah, that was my weekend treat while we can't go out.
It's a bit of a Marmite drink into Black Forest Gato. I think people either love it or just really, really detest it.
I think probably as our White Russians, they're not the most straightforward of cocktails. So.
Having flashbacks to be a cocktail night and not being overly enthusiastic about the White Russian offering. Sorry again about that.
Funnily enough, the beer that I put in the White Russian when we did that, the Brew York Imperial Ton Cocoa, I drank a can of that the other day as well. On its own, I didn't put milk in it.
I've got a barrel aged cherry I can't say it now.
Cherry Ton Cocoa.
Yeah, cherry Tom Cocoa. That's it.
Oh yeah.
I've got a barrel aged version of that, which I'm saving for Christmas. And I've got an oat Tom Cocoa. Tom Cocoa. which is an oat version of it. I can say this fine, but stick me in front of a microphone, can't say it. One of those phrases. So I've got a variety of different Tonkoko variations for Christmas this year, which is good because I'm a massive fan. I'm very appreciative to Laura, who introduced me to the Tonkoko range and the whole idea of a tonka bean, because I think any drink in the world is made infinitely better by sticking some tonka bean in it, because it's beautiful, very nice.
With an ingredient that's actually illegal in certain countries.
Yes. There's probably a reason. I'm probably an addict. I'm probably actually addicted to it.
I think it's more that it's like some sort of toxin in it, I think.
I've
rather
also
than
had
drug.
It's like crack. That's what it is.
I had it for Christmas last year. I got a bottle of tonka bean and clementine gin, and that was also great.
Oh,
so I feel like
that sounds
the
good.
tonka bean makes any beer better, as you just said. I'm not sure I wholly agree, but largely agree. But I think can apply it for the drinks as
definitely does. I had a Black Forest style tonka bean beer, it was a stout. It was like an imperial stout. I think it was Vibrant Forest. I think it'd been months and months and months ago. But so it's interesting you talk about Black Forest Gato being a bit of a love it or hate it thing. I kind of like stuff that's Black Forest, and I might have told this story before, and I apologize if I have. But when I was about 6-7 years old or something, I ate an entire Black Forest Gato to myself. And was ill for a week, and then since then, I find a bit like most people struggle to drink kind of White Lightning cider because it reminds them of being sick when they were a kid. For me, Black Forest Gato has that same effect. Just like the taste of it just makes me feel a little bit nauseous. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just flashbacks. But I discovered that Black Forest style beers I'm fine with, so that's obviously a bonus. It was a good beer as well. Black Forest and Tonka Bean, they definitely work. Make sure you tell Jim about that, Laura. That's one for the list. Black Forest and Tonka Bean, they work.
Okay. I'll let him know.
One to experiment with. You may have noticed we've got no Sean with us this evening. Now, if you follow Sean or anything to do with Beer Central on socials, you'll know that he's had a bit of a situation over the last couple of weeks. He and Debs have been self-isolated at home because of some family stuff, but he is fine. He's just really busy with a few bits and bobs, so he's not able to make it tonight. But no need to panic or anything. He is absolutely fine, and he should be back out into the world in the next week or so, which would be good. Although I've quite enjoyed seeing he's kind of, it's almost like Sean Staffing now is like a greatest hits of the beer world in Sheffield, the people that he's had working at the shop, which has been brilliant.
But they did break his fridge, I think.
That did happen. I think that was Adam, wasn't it, that broke the fridge. I'm sure he would deny it.
Oh dear.
Laura, I was thinking back to an episode when we talked about your little side project, and I've got a feeling that because we had loads of technical issues, that it got cut from the final edit. So this probably links into sort of lower strength beers and stuff. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you're up to when you're not with us, your little moonlighting project?
Yeah, I suppose it ties in quite nicely with this beer.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, I've mentioned probably quite a few times on this and in life that I really like Shandy. And my friend Michael, who is part of Out and About Sheffield and who ran was the beer selector for the Devonshire Cat as well, also is a big fan of a Shandy. And we kind of got talking about this fairly recently, a couple of months ago. And we seem to have kind of stumbled upon a Shandy loving underground scene within the beer world. And yeah, lots of people who pretend to be, really into beer and up and coming trends and all of that kind of thing, that were like, I'm so glad you said you like a Shandy because I love a Shandy too. So we thought we're going to break the Shandy taboo, and we've set up a Twitter account and YouTube channel called Does It Shandy, where we take beers. So mainly so far we've done, kind of bitters and lagers and fairly straightforward things, but the sky's the limit. So the premise being, we try the beer, we put some pop in it, and we declare whether the addition of lemonade or other beverage improves or at least doesn't completely ruin the beer? And if so, declare it shandyable. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun, a really nice kind of light-hearted way of looking at things, and just essentially the two of us are having a bit of a laugh and drinking lots of shandy. So it's been really fun so far. Like I said, it's brought out this shandy side in quite a lot of people, which is really nice to see.
What's been the ratio so far then of like shandyable to non-shandyable?
We've only had 2, I think, that have not shandied.
Right.
Against about, and we've only had one where we've completely ruined it. But definitely the majority. I think we've had about 6 maybe that we declared did shandy.
That's pretty good.
So,
and do you pick beers on the basis that you think they probably will be all right, or are you at some point are you going to like just rock out with an impy stout and stick some lemonade in it and see what happens?
Yeah, well, we started off doing things that we thought, like, oh yeah, that'll be a good shandy. But I think it seems that people are quite inclined for us to go down the route of putting lemonade in stupid stuff. So I think that is definitely on the agenda. Jim's actually saving us one of his 750s of Mills to shandy. So lambic shandy, it could be the way forward. Trout shandies could be. Yeah, we don't have to put lemonade in it. Like we've got Jim's got a coffee bitter through there that he's kind of said, oh, I only have one of these and I don't want to give it you, but if I had more, don't you think this would be nice with vanilla Coke? So it's a good platform to play around with things. So yeah.
You looked up the definition for shandy then, like because you said they're maybe not a lemonade. Is it just basically anything that's fizzy and non-alcoholic? Soft drink.
Non-alcoholic. We've done a Krabby's shandy. I mean, we might be pushing the definition of shandy, but there's no other shandy authority to tell us off. So
no, I just wondered if there were like a definition for it or not.
You are becoming like the shandy influencers. You're making the rules here. I love it.
Well, yeah, there were no rules, so we might as well make them as all inclusive and encompassing as we can. So yeah, but yeah, we've done. I think we've only done 4 episodes so far, so it's still fairly new, and we've got a couple more. Obviously, we can't record at the moment with household mingling not being possible, but we've got quite a few kind of done. Because the other beauty of it is we can do like 6 in a night, and it's fine because we're drinking mainly lemonade. So,
but do you get changed in between episodes so that when people watch them, they don't realise that's what you've done?
You know what? We did not do that, and I kind of regret it now. Because
you do that. I have like 6 different T-shirts lined up, so no one will know.
Yeah, outfit changes.
Yeah.
Next time we're able to record, we'll do that. But yeah, so it's kind of on hold at the moment, but we've got quite a few still to put out there. But then we'll have to wait for restrictions to ease a little bit, or go for a walk with a flask of shandy, which is the other option for us. So
you have to take a cameraman. You have to take a cameraman, like just sort of walking backwards, like a steady camera.
There's something there in like now taking it to the next level, which is making and drinking shandy while out exercising. Like this could be a new craze. I love this idea because shandy, obviously, it's not got that much alcohol in it. It's not bad for you. I think that's you're onto something there. I think that could be a winner.
I'm not sure I could do another 10K with Laura doing with lemonade in my belly.
That'd be hilarious.
10K.
Watching people do a 10K trying to mix and drink shandy and just going everywhere. I love that idea. Love it. All right. I mean, obviously, we've got to chat a little bit about kind of what's been going on, and another episode, another set of restrictions. So national lockdown ends next week, and then, as expected, we're going back into tier 3, and it's kind of like a beefed up version of tier 3, which from a kind of a pub and hospitality point of view sort of means it's pretty much as they are now. Really, everywhere's going to pretty much have to stay closed. And I mean, we all follow quite a few people ourselves, don't we, that obviously work in the trade, and seen a lot of people this week reflecting on just how hard this is going to be now as we head towards Christmas. And I think we've all individually had a good old rant over the last couple of months as well, but desperately hard times, isn't it? There's no real way of kind of glossing this in any way whatsoever. I think we know that once we do get to a point where places can start to reopen, undoubtedly there's going to be places that just don't, because it's so hard right now.
I think the thing that struck me this time around as well is, we've had the discussion before about, obviously schools staying open is really important, and don't feel that pubs should be prioritised above anything at all. It's not at all what I'm suggesting, but this time around in particular, some of the guidance that's there seems to be intended, it doesn't seem to have any connection whatsoever to infection rates or virus spreading or anything. It seems to be literally just attacking pubs, and particularly wet-led pubs. Last time, when the tier system was first introduced, and the rule was in tier 3 and is now tier 2 about only pubs that serve a substantial meal can open. I don't know if you saw, but there's Grub Manchester, which is like a kind of street food weekly event in Manchester, offered kind of to pair up wet-led pubs and traders, and it was quite successful, and there were quite a few other places that were able to stay open and support a local food trader as well, because of of people kind of using their initiative. And this time around there's actually specific guidance that says that the transaction for the food and the alcohol all has to go through the same till as part of the same transaction. And it's explicitly laid out that people can't take their own food in and can't get food from a takeaway to take in. So, if this was about stopping people getting pissed and being stupid and not social distancing, I have my own issue with that as it stands. But that's not what this is about at all. If you can't take in other food, if you have to buy the food at the same place, that is literally just penalising pubs that only serve drinks. There's no other explanation for it whatsoever, other than a direct attack on those places, and it's absolutely outrageous.
And it's weird, isn't it, as well, because we still don't. There's never been any evidence. No one's ever come up with any proof about how, this needs to be done because it was so bad in pubs, or it was so bad in restaurants, and it was like, I'm sure that Eat Out to Help Out probably did have an effect, but that was a very specific thing, and we've probably all got opinions on that. But generally, there was no one saying, it's terrible in pubs, and it's like rampant through. It just, that wasn't really happening, and I've not seen the government come up with anything. There's just quote this one study in America that was quite a small study. That evidence just isn't there, and we said a few weeks ago, didn't we, about how it feels disproportionate, and it feels like it's getting worse. It's getting even more disproportionate, and destroying places and destroying livelihoods and destroying people's lives, and with very little justification, and it's pretty horrendous. It's awful.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, I was thinking, I've been monitoring kind of the tier 3, well, what were tier 3 people, and it just seemed like their infection rates of spread, there are numbers, probably the lowest in the country. So it was in the northwest, northeast, I think. A lot of places that were, Liverpool's a good example, has been moved down already. So it does seem like it is, annoyingly, it is working to some degree. Even it's quite slow, but you're thinking, in 2 weeks' time you could get moved down. But to be honest, even if you were in tier 2 for 2 weeks before Christmas, and it's just like I said, it's that you got to sit down with a meal. It's just not. It's not going to make a dent in anything, really, is it? It's not what people want to be doing, particularly run into Christmas. So it's going to be well into the year before any of this is really sorted. And I don't know what your thoughts are about this household stuff. That seems to be a daft thing in itself, over Christmas, that Christmas week. It's like, you just, if all this stuff mattered about social distancing, it's like, you can do what you want for those 5 days. It's like, you just, you may as well just be badass all the way through till New Year, or just cancel Christmas. We'll do Christmas in January. The weirder things have happened in this year. If someone said, right, guys, Christmas is going to be on 25th of January, and I think most people would go, cool, yeah, we'll just move it on a month and we'll stop in a better situation. But yeah, I think there's a lot of unpicking to be done, and I can't see it can't see it really changing much quickly, really.
I suspect that Christianity might have a
Yeah,
slight
I know,
issue with just shifting Christmas for a couple of reasons. But I have thought about that. I'm thinking, could you just delay it just for like 3 months? Just say, well, we're actually going to celebrate Christmas in March, regardless of where you stand in terms of the religious side of it. If you want to celebrate it, there's a better chance of being able to do that 3 months down the line than there is now. So it's one for 1 year, then do it. What I do get is the fact that, the it's a balancing act, and what you don't want is big groups going on big pub crawls like you would normally get at Christmas. That's obviously an issue, and I know it must be quite difficult to try and find a happy medium whereby you can have places plying their trade and avoid those situations whereby you could have a virus spreading its way through people really rapidly if there's big groups and stuff. But as Laura says, it now feels like it's moved on to something else. Like it's no longer about just stopping stuff like that happening. Like we talked about at the time when national lockdown was announced, and it kind of felt like they were trying to stop places do takeaway beers as well, like that it just, all of it just feels just wrong. It just it's hard to kind of put it into words really, because I see some of the statuses from people that we'd all class as friends, and I'm sure there's people listening that would as well. But wherever you are in the country and wherever you are in the world, you will have people that have served you in pubs and all kinds of other places before, that now they're staring down the barrel of a gun, and it's so sad to see. And we need some sort of, I don't know, some sort of evidence, some sort of support program, something that starts to turn things back the other way, because it's just one thing after another, and it's not fair on the pub trade. It's not just about the pub trade. It's not fair on the hospitality trade, and it can't get through. It can't survive if it's just going to be like this, where it's just hit after hit after hit. Can't do it.
Yeah, I think as well it feels more kind of bleak this time as well, because obviously with it being, I think everybody knew that it wasn't going to be the bumper December that it usually is, and places have been preparing for that and trying to think of contingency plans and all of that kind of thing, and then to have even that taken away, and it's now, it does seem that this is going to be at least a couple of months more. We're going to be coming up to a year where there's been no normal trade for pubs at all. And I think I have seen a lot more of the ones that were kind of, we'll get through this, please support us, all of that. The kind of the language that people are using has gone from being quite upbeat and optimistic. And now, I saw one place in Sheffield the other day that just said, we're screwed. That was their entire Facebook update. And it's just so sad to see that, the kind of the people behind it are really having to come out now and just be so open about it, and it isn't okay. And I completely agree, the support that's been available to pubs has been inadequate anyway the whole way through, but there needs to be some kind of justification and some clear evidence set out before everyone, I think. Just as a quick aside, the SIBA, which is the Society of Independent Brewers Association, I just give a massive shout out for the work that they've been doing alongside other organisations like CAMRA and people like that. Have been doing some really, really, intense lobbying of the government and trying really hard to make sure that it stays on the agenda. And SIBA have extended that to non-members as well. They're very clearly fighting for all breweries and venues, and just trying really hard to make sure that they're not forgotten about. So they've been doing some absolutely amazing work. And I think generally the industry has, as far as it can, pulled together. And I think that's the kind of scary thing for me. I don't want to see it become more of a dog eat dog thing, and it absolutely hasn't. From what I can see at the moment, places have been really, really mutually supportive, and trying their best to say it's not just about us, it's about the wider kind of picture. And I really hope that can continue, but it's kind of getting harder and harder, isn't it, when places know that they're just desperate to survive.
The question for me is, where's the help? Where's the, and I don't just mean like where are the handouts, and there's a whole issue there, but kind of, like you said, that example at the beginning. But why are they not trying to find ways and routes where these places can still make a living? They're trying to stop it rather than trying to find solutions. And I really feel for people in those situations whereby there gets to a point where you just feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. And I'm not surprised there's people that just feel like giving in, because there's been months now of having to fight this. And when you feel like the very people that should be trying to help you and try and come up with solutions are actually just trying to find problems, that's so demoralizing. And just desperately sad. And I hope, we know there's a review in a couple of weeks. I'd love if we're sat here in a couple of weeks talking about some more options whereby hospitality places can start to turn over a little bit more money in those last few days before Christmas. But it's going to be this Christmas is dead, isn't it, really, for any sort of hospitality? And just got to hope that in the early months of next year that we're in a position whereby we are able to still support some places and we can see some sort of movement on it. So yeah, sad times. How are our beers going down?
Very well. Really nice.
Nearly gone.
I'm very, very jealous of the colour of yours. Very jealous.
Well, have a word with bar stewards. I think they definitely add some more of those in.
I'm not popped down this lockdown, so I'll have to do that.
So
big praise for the Whiplash as well. I think that it just tastes like a beer. It tastes exactly as you would expect a beer to taste, and it's just that little bit thinner, which is kind of inevitable, isn't it? But you barely notice. Ever so well made, brilliant beer.
Yeah, this is great as well. I think because it's the beer element of it is a hoppy pale ale. It's described as. It doesn't give any more information than that, but you can still really distinctly taste the beer side of it. You do get some hop character, but then you also get the kind of fruitiness and really refreshing side of things from the soda as well. So yeah, I really like it.
What percent is it? Is it 2%?
2.2.
2.2. Yeah, this one's just to kind of go on a bit more detail. Very thick. Quite, you can see kind of what in the bottom of my glass. There's quite a lot of, just flavour.
Gloopy, like a good gloopy.
So yeah, when I was drinking it, I was thinking this tastes more sort of 5% and above, really, actually. But thinking it's only 3.8. It must be packed with a lot of. It must be. I don't know what to put into it. I imagine it's some fruit, but yeah, really, it's like got a really tart sourness, that really nice puckering kind of, but also really refreshing. I was holding back on that. I could feel myself drinking it really fast. It's really, really drinkable, which is probably the most important thing about any liquid that you're supposed to drink. So it's drinkable. But yeah, it's good.
Cutting edge analysis from Adam Nicholson there.
Yeah, really good. I'm gonna pick up another one of these because I don't think it was too expensive either. So yeah,
good stuff.
Go and
we all get full marks for our beer choices there. I think 3 really good options, particularly over Christmas if you're looking for something that's not as heavy. If you've whatever you're up to at Christmas, if you've got family and stuff like that, and you think, I still want to have a drink, loads of great options out there. And please do contact your local places and see what they've got and what they can sort you out and stuff as we get towards Christmas. So we're back in a couple of weeks. It is a Christmas special, not necessarily the Christmas special, because we've still not had that discussion about whether we're gonna. Normally we'll be off on our pod crawl 2020, so it may be that we can figure out some kind of virtual version of that. We'll get our respective cogs turning in the next couple of weeks. But we are back 2 weeks today with. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work now. Sean and Laura, you talked about it a bit last time. So we are basically judging the Penistone Homebrews beer competition, which involves all of us drinking a lot of beer in a very short time, and I believe some of it is quite strong as well. So I've literally, as I look at my calendar here, I've penciled off what did I put down? 8 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon on Monday I've penciled off as my recovery time from this. So it's going to be intriguing. So that's in 2 weeks' time. I think all that's left for us to do now is the obligatory beer selfie. I've got a new mic stand now in the way, so I've got to kind of go either side of it, but yeah, it works all right. Big smiles.
One gone.
There we go.
Sorry, I was trying to work out which way round it was. I was getting
It's often it's much more difficult than you think trying to get a snippet of that thing, because unless you really, really hold like a false smile, there's always someone who like lets go of the smile just before somebody else, or someone's not quite got into it. So you're like, right, who looks least stupid? Literally stupid.
Someone blinks or somehow manages to pull like a proper ugly face for a second. Yeah,
I think we'll get a good one out of that one.
No, that was good. Yeah.
This
Cool.
Is to all look nice at the same time.
Oh, our audience haven't seen the drawings that Adam's done of us yet. That's that joy still to come. Right, lovely to catch up with you, and we'll be back for a Christmas special in a couple of weeks' time. We'll see you then.
Bye bye.